Hi everyone, I'm joined today by my wonderful friend Manfred Hinn. Say hi, Manfred.
Hi.
And we're on the balcony at Manfred's house in Hermit Park in Townsville. And we got together today because in 1 week from tomorrow Manfred is off to Ukraine.
Yeah.
So we've been sorting out all the wonderful donations that he's received from our PayPal fundraiser. So thank you very much to everyone that's been helping Manfred so far. You may have seen Manfred all over the news, ABC, Channel 7, Sunrise, the Bulletin. So you've had a lot of media coverage over the last few weeks, and you admit to being a bit media shy, don't you?
Yeah, I am. Yes. I'm a bit of a hermit, and if it wasn't for a good cause and wasn't for helping the people, I'd rather stay out of the limelight and stay in my little cave.
Well, you have a pretty impressive cave here, I have to say. For a builder, you've got several man caves at the back of your house. So how are you going to get your man cave into one van in Ukraine?
Well, I wouldn't need much for myself, as long as I have a mattress, a microwave and some way of making coffee, I would be perfectly fine. The rest I want to load up with tools, material and pack it to the rafter with all the materials and everything which helps to rebuild Ukraine. For myself, I'm fine.
So you're a German man who grew up in Germany, who moved to Townsville in the 80s, wasn't it?
83 I came here as a backpacker, and I always wanted to leave Germany for this. The weather is shocking and there's too many Germans in Germany, I think. Sorry. but I'm not very German-like, although I am. And I came here as a backpacker and got a job as helping in the industry. I'm a cabinet maker, builder, and I have some architectural education, and so got a sponsorship, got back and migrated to Australia in '85, when then I started to work my way up with a backpack and 1,500 Deutschmarks, which is about $500 in my pocket, and just hard work and stick at it.
So Townsville's been your home for a long time, but now you've decided to leave Townsville and go to Ukraine on a one-way ticket. So should we just share a bit about how we met?
Yeah, I was this time last year, actually on the 24th, before the war even broke out, I was very concerned, and when it actually did happen, it literally threw me in a spin. Sorry, I get emotional.
We've got some tissues here. Do you want a tissue?
No, because I remember as a child growing up and listening to my parents when they met with relatives. They never talked to us as children what happened in the war, but I had pierced ears every time they came, and later in the evening when they had a few wines and a few beers, their tongue loosened up and they start talking, and I start listening. And names would come up I never even heard of and met of, and then I realized, well, these are all the people I could have met, uncles and aunties and cousins, and they're all no longer here. And I could feel and see the pain in their eyes. Oof. Sorry, it always gets me.
That's okay.
And so I experienced a traumatic period for myself as a helpless person. I was little, only 4 years old, but still in my mind I felt helpless. And all I could ever do is sort of go to my parents and hug them, and couldn't say much, but and so when I heard the atrocity happen, the same thing again. I basically grew up in a paradigm of never again. This was the slogan of all our generation. Never again. It must not happen ever again. And here we are, again and again. And the blatant lies of the invaders, and it's just so exactly the same as it was in the First World War. Mind you, then it was the German, and now it's the Russians. But it's not the people. It's never the people, it's always the regime who does all the damage and the brainwashing and the compulsory go to war. My father and all my surviving relatives, they had to go to war. There was no choice, or else they'd be killed, you know. And I have an opinion on that. If I would have to go to war, I'd rather not, you know. I'd do anything not to. But that's my opinion, and so I was affected anyway, and it really hit time the first 2 weeks last year after the war broke out. I was, like I said, in a pickle, and I knew instantly I had to do something. But what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and where specifically I was going to do something, I did not know. But then it dawned on me after a while. I calmed down. I thought, well, I'm a builder, and I see the destruction, specifically Butcher and not up in the areas where we all saw the atrocities and the human rights abuses and the blatant killing of civilians. And that was all over the news. So I thought, well, this is where I'm going. This is where I'm needed. There's people, old people, particularly old ones. If you know Ukraine a little bit, you realize there is a city life, which is probably not much difference to anywhere in metropolitan around the world. But if you just go outside of it, you step in a century back. There is people live and grow their food, and if they don't grow their food, they don't eat. It's as simple as that. And it's like 100 years back, and probably in colonial times Australia, you would have to go back 150, 200 years nearly to have those conditions. And all they have has been destroyed, completely ripped to pieces, and you see people sitting in front of their generational little house. I mean, we're talking basic facilities, no toilets in the house, no running waters, drawing water out of the ground, having a dunny at the back, and that's a normal life, you know. The kitchen exists for, you wouldn't, I reckon most Aussies wouldn't even attempt to go in there. They wouldn't even call it a kitchen, but that's a life. These people have nothing, but at heart they are solid, stable, lovely people, and everything is destroyed, and now they have no means, absolutely no means of rebuilding anything they've had. They have no finance, they have no ability. All the people sit, and I've often been asked, why don't those people just move away and go? So what? Great for young people, perhaps, but if you're of a certain age, you don't have the abilities, neither physically, mentally, or otherwise. You just cannot move. How can you replant an old oak tree, 100-year-old oak tree? You try to replant it; it's not possible. You know?
That was a hard thing for me, is that a lot of my younger friends had to leave their elder parents and grandparents behind when they fled initially. And in contrast, you've never been to Ukraine. I've been many, many times over the past, since 2010, so over the past 13 years, I've travelled quite a lot in Ukraine. So, you know, when you speak about these things, I visualize the people in the villages and the life that they once had, which they don't have anymore. And obviously you were aware that I was doing some fundraising, so you reached out to me, and I'm kind of glad you did, to be honest, because I didn't think that I could keep going with the same efforts as last year this year, and I was wondering what I could do, and how I could continue to contribute this year, because I couldn't keep running 50-60 kilometers every week. And also you do get war fatigue, you know, you do get PTSD, you do get overwhelmed by the suffering, and every now and then you need to take a step back and let someone else have a turn. And I know that's been true for our friend Lena, it's been true for myself, and I'm sure that you'll feel that at some point in the near future. But in a way, I'm grateful that both you and Lena are here, because you're both invested in it as much as I am. So that's been good for me now to have the support of you guys, but it's also given me renewed energy to keep going. And I tried not to kind of comment on the 1-year anniversary of the war, because it was A, too upsetting, and B, it's kind of reached a point now where so many different aspects of the war are reported on, including things like corruption and fake news and all this other rubbish. And and I know real people living there and real people suffering there, so I try not to engage with any of that other rubbish because it detracts from the real need of everyday people, right? And those are the people that you're going to help when you get there. So you're flying to Germany, you're buying a van, and you're going to load it up with materials and drive to Ukraine, right?
That's right, yes.
I won't say are you excited, but do you feel that your mission is imminent?
Yeah, I'm wait for the moment. I'm sitting in my van, loaded up, and actually hit the road. And it's at that point I know for sure I will feel completely at ease and comfortable. Everything leading up to it is very, very stressful for me, and I do not cope very well actually. It's all new technology, new things, and I'm a doer. I'm not a sort of an administration kind of person, and I really look forward to the moment I actually turn the key and off I go. I know it's just going to be a big load off my shoulders, and what I'm facing from there on is sort of in my comfort zone. It's what I do best. I help best. I engineer. I invent. I turn the wheel any way possible. I make things happen. I'm a shaker and a mover and a shaker, and that's where I will be fully at ease. Not at the moment. My head is in the wrong space right now. Doing fundraising. I've never asked anything in my life of anyone for anything, and now I've been asking for, not for me, but I've been asking for people, to help people, and that's completely new and very strange and uncomfortable to me. So, but I won't complain because I want to help, and the more I put my money to the cause, and I always said, if no one helps, I still can do the basics I want to do.
Yeah.
And now it's all about getting extra $100 for roofing material, $10 for roofing sheets,
A door
for $30, or
Windows.
$20 for 10 people's volunteer lunch.
Yeah.
It's very important. The organisation I'm going with is well known and supported, and even government officials are part in there, but there is no administration on my side. Any donations I receive will go 100% to buy a roofing sheet, buy a door, buy a window. I'll make sure of that, and so whatever anyone feels to help, please do. You're not helping me, but you're helping me helping them. This is what I am, and I'm so grateful to meet Lena and Christy particularly, because I have no idea how to do anything on a computer. I can build you a house 10 times over, but don't ask me to be an IT specialist, and so I need desperate help.
But you've embraced new things. So a year ago you'd never used Telegram. Now you're fairly proficient using Telegram. You've now got PayPal and all other sorts of things. So, you've done pretty good for an old bloke, I have to tell you.
Yeah,
well
sort
done.
of, I'm getting there, but where there's a need, I'll find a way, I always say. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I have the will. I've always known I want to do this, and I will do it, but I can't tell you how I'm going to do it until I have actually done it. So, I'm trying to keep you up to date on regular posts on Facebook, and maybe I'll learn a few more tricks, and I'll find out, maybe even learn to do some life vets like we do here.
Well, I wish I was going with you in many ways, but obviously I can't because I have young kids here, so it's sad for me to not go, and I don't want to travel to Europe until the war is over, and I've made that kind of commitment to myself. But it has been a really tough year, and you talk about fundraising, because when you have to keep putting yourself out there, it's not easy, and sometimes the negativity and the noise and the hateful comments you see on Facebook can really be a bit of a dampener to your progress, and then you kind of have to just shake yourself off and go again, because like you say, you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people. So you have to kind of block out some of those things that creep in over time. But you know, when you're there and you're going to be at the coalface, I do hope that you're going to share posts back here, because people will see for themselves what it's really like on the ground. And it's not via media, it's via individual, and I think that makes a big difference, because, you know, for me, having done a lot of fundraising with people I know personally who've physically gone into Poland and gone into Ukraine and helped at the coalface, those posts of what they've seen, what they've learned, what they've discovered, and what they've been able to do has been the most impactful in terms of, you know, buying generators for families and, you know, helping hospitals and buying medical supplies. And when you're able to deliver resources, like you say, with no middleman, with no admin costs, with no marketing costs, just to be right, there's the money and that's what I'm putting it towards, it's really, really important. And you know that the noises about corruption and bureaucracy, it doesn't make any, it doesn't detract from what you're doing, because you don't have to worry about those things.
Right. That's right, it goes direct, and that's the reason I want to do some blogging. I've had one comment, I laughed, I said, first time I got media attention, someone said, oh, attention seeker.
Yes.
And I laughed.
She's got her 15 minutes of fame, that's what I was told.
But I always know, whatever people point out, whatever people criticize, that is something they have within themselves. You know, if I be called an attention seeker, that is exactly what that person is desiring. You know, so I always, it's a mirror of their own personality, whatever they accuse me of, that's what they are.
But I love the way people can sit there and sprout hate on a keyboard, but they can't do anything else. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, how come you got time to sit there and sprout so much hate, but you could be doing so many other things to actually help people, rather than hating me for trying to do something. So that's been an interesting experience for me as well, I have to say.
It is, yes, and it's new for me, and I'm learning it, but it's not something which affects me, because I've learned a few things over the years. And I always say you can't.
And
put
you've got
grey
big
head.
hands. Show everyone the size of your hands.
I've got big hands.
Look at Manfred's hands. Oh my God, scary hands.
But I always say, you know, you can't put grey head on young shoulders, and there's a truth to it, you know. And so whatever they throw at me, I'm going, it's just like water over a duck's back, you know. And I see them, as soon as they make the comment, I see who they are. And you don't associate it. We live in a world where there is, unfortunately, there is good and evil. And there is people on the good side and there's people on the bad side. But in the end, good always survives, you know. I won't say it wins in a sense, because it's not right to say good always wins when people are dying. Good people are dying, you know.
Yeah.
But evil happens more only because of good people doing nothing.
That's it. And I've just been so inspired, because, you know, through being able to help even just, you know, the people I knew the longest and the most intimately, from my Ukrainian friends, being in helping them initially, they were then able to help lots of other people, you know. So I was just thinking, if I can help one person, that person can help someone else, who can help someone else. And it didn't take, you know, and initially I was just using all my own funds to buy things and to send money, and then obviously people wanted to help, and other people started giving me money, and then, you know, we've been able to do lots of good across lots of different projects, not individuals as well as things. So I have no doubt that there's going to be a snowball of support for you.
Hopefully, you know, it's not about how much you help. It's the fact that you do help. You know, if you give $1 from your heart, it's worth more than $10,000. You just throw out of your pocket if you can afford it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the heart that counts. It's the I didn't realize how much support and encouragement it gives if someone does give you. Actually, the least the people give, the more I feel inspired by it, you know, because I know this person is giving me $10. I don't know this person. That has come from the heart, you know. Whereas other people, they might not give anything, or might give $500, and it's just something it's nothing to them, you know. It
Yeah,
has
it's
no
really
meaning.
beautiful. And
It's beautiful, the little donations. I love it, you know.
after I did the Sky News interview before the end of my running challenge, a man from Canberra sent me $100, and I didn't know him from Adam. And it was really reassuring because I'd had so many hateful comments after that interview. So to have one good thing come up was really lovely. And I thought
That's all it matters.
the clever dumb balance had been restored because all the hateful stuff had been balanced out by that moment of generosity from a stranger. And I thought, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
it's just all about the right people seeing things.
That's
that-
right. That's right. I guess I'm a bit of a grumpy face, so people are very careful of me to direct to me because I am a very direct person. So if someone throws shit at me, I be careful, you know.
Yeah.
I got a wagon load of it to come.
Well, for me, this war's been going on since 2014, since they invaded the east of Ukraine and annexed Crimea. So it doesn't feel like it's a one-year war. It feels like it's been going on for a decade already. So, you know, I just really want everything to be returned to Ukraine as it should have been from 2013, you know, and having spent all the time in Ukraine in 2010, 2011, 2012 and saw how it was a country on the cusp of just global, you know, I don't think you mean globalization, but international recognition.
Yeah.
And, you know, tourism was going to improve and, you know, infrastructure had improved, and the you know, young people in Ukraine are so intelligent and so well educated, and not only that, it's like they've grown up with the internet, they've grown up being able to travel, so that old ideology of the old Russia and Soviet, that's not in their DNA, you know, it's not in their psyche. And so to say that, you know, Ukraine needs to return to Russia, the reason they voted for Zelensky was because he was not the old oligarchs, you know, and they want new people to lead them into the new, into the future, and they don't want old wealthy oligarchs telling them how to live anymore. And this is really why, you know, this is such an important war, because, you know, Lavrov came out and said the other day that the West's monopoly on the Western ideology monopoly can't be allowed to penetrate all countries. And I thought, what an absolutely ridiculous statement, because here you are saying that, you know, the West has a monopoly on the ideology as opposed to Russia's ideology, which is to go and slaughter millions of innocent people. Like, that doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever.
Well, it's like I said before, whatever people throw at you, it's what they are, you know.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of Russian propaganda through the media, through the channels I watch, and everything they say, if you just turn it around onto them, it's exactly talking about themselves, you know. So whatever they throw at the West is really just talking about themselves, because that's all they know, you know. But like Christy said before, the younger generation in Ukraine are so open and so intelligent, and a new generation. And that also applies to the younger Russians, you know.
Yes,
they've been
it's
living
true.
20 years with relative openness. They've seen the West. They know there is no denazification necessary. That is in Russia.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they are so shackled down with their regime.
Yeah, but that's
they
why all
can't
the
say anything,
Russian
you know.
soldiers at the front line are people that they've released from prison.
No.
Go
And
to
they're
Ukraine
no
and
more,
fight,
you know.
and then you'll be released from prison. So all they're doing is using cannon fodder from their own jails. You know, it's ridiculous.
And I remember the time, you know, not too long. I was still young, but that's exactly how the Third Reich operated. That's exactly how the East Germany operated. It's just power and control and suppressing the people and feed them, you know. What we say in Australia, they treat us like mushroom, grow in the dark and fed on shit, you know. And that's exactly how it is, you know. So, yes, there are people who are not capable of seeing past it, but the younger generation, I mean, there is an opposition leader in Russia, Navalny, in prison, and he's still alive for some reason. He's not dead. Like all the other oligarchs die like flies. there is hope, and also there are Russian battalions operating in Ukraine as Russians fighting the Russian front line. You know, so we have to see both sides. It's not just Russians are bad or Ukrainians are good. It's the people are people, and the regime is the evil one. It's the people who run the regimes, the suppression, the totalitarian system. That's where it all goes. But aside from politics, that doesn't move me to go over there. My motivation is I want to help those people. Politics aside, and you can get carried away, but I'll leave it out of the play what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm going to help people get a roof over their head, have a window in their house, and go back to something we would call perhaps a fishing shed. You know, however, this is all they have. And it gets cold, and it gets rainy.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm focused on, you know. And I'm so grateful to meet up with Christy and Lena, and it just gives me, it just encourages me, you know. I need as much encouragement as anyone else, even though I'm pig-headed and single-minded. But I just want to help. This is all I want.
Well, you're going to meet some of my friends when you get to Ukraine. I've got a few little supplies here which I'm sending with you, and I'm going to look forward to your updates and to show us how all things really are there. So thank you for joining me today. I hope people will watch this chat, because we filmed so much content for different
for 2 minutes
for the media, and then a lot of what we say gets cut out. So we wanted to do our own interview today, so we could actually share what we're feeling and thinking, and then people can understand a bit more about who you are, and also what I'm doing behind the scenes is helping you with some of your admin, which you say you don't like doing, but we'll get you there.
I'll have to. Necessity is always the driving force. Whatever is needed, I will have to learn.
You have a new strap-on. Where there's a QR code, there's a way.
Yeah, I didn't even know what that thing is, you know. I just what? Someone mentioned a couple of years back, are you on Facebook? And I said, no, I haven't read that book yet.
No, you've got your very own QR code. But you've raised a heck of a lot of money, which, you know, over the last year, and I think that you'll continue to raise more, because we're going to be positive, and you know, you'll be able to help a lot of people. So thank you.
I hope so. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please ask me. I'm more than happy to reply to anyone, unless you write crap.
Yeah. No nut jobs. We don't have time for nut
no
jobs.
nutters on here.
We don't have time for people who say, "Oh, go and light a candle and get over it." Those people can F off, can't they?
Well, that's their problem. You know, leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Manfred.
Thank you.
Safe travels to Ukraine. Thanks
Yep.
for watching, everybody.
Thank you.
If you want to donate, I've dropped the link into the interview notes below. All right, take care. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gosh, I have big hands.